in thinking about how to do the thing, and feel where any blocks to my confidence are, which just because in parkour, a lot of your success is just based upon your ability to feel confident enough just to commit to a move. I think a subtle reason why you want to do this would be to get rid of what's called perceptual clutter, just in that no one on the planet seems to know what representation, what rules your system uses in order to behave throughout its environment based upon the sensory information it receives, which means that if you rely on mostly visual information to judge how to do the side flip, then you're going to react differently, perhaps, than a person who derives most of their information from touch-based information does, or based on sound. Like, do you derive most of your information from people cheering you on? That's a factor here. So as you move through that meter of distance, generating as much confidence in your system as you can you feel as if there are, or can you see internally, can you hear internally, maybe even taste and smell, if there were any blocks inside you blocking you from feeling fully confident for the thing? And that's where things might get a bit more complicated, just because of the subtle aspects of psychology. For example, pretty much your entire life is determined in the first 7 years of you being alive, which means that if you went into school during that period and you got bullied at all, then you may have some blocks to confidence which may be affecting you there. That society just tells you to stuff down. There might be these blocks which you could never consciously be aware of, preventing you from being confident enough to go for the move, and this applies to life in general. But to me, it's one of the biggest reasons why the poor middle class gets stuck in the poor middle class, is because they get shoved into school, which blah 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 blah. I'm not going through that in this video. So the point. So if you go from that monotonous state to I'm really confident, as confident as I can be, in order to do that side flip, you go through that meter and you get halfway, you feel like something's blocking you. That's when you probably just place another piece of paper on the ground. And all of this is based on intention anyway, like the energy world. Like this is useful for the energy world as well, but since it's all based upon intention anyway. So that's when you start seeing if you can neutralize triggers that you don't realize are there. Which, if you can neutralize any triggers, then you should, without noticing it, get splash benefit in your system because of how perceptual filters work, which I'm not going to explain right now. It's not just a phrase of that you can or can't face something, because there's something called psychogeometry which affects us all. In that if you are able to fully attune yourself to yourself, if you're in the right state to do that, then if you're faced with a fear, say I'm facing at the camera right now, and the camera represents a big fear for me, which it doesn't, although let's just pretend it does. and I am in tune with myself enough, and I'm looking for these things in these blocks in my system, and I don't feel like I can face the fear. I can get my system to make me feel just how much to turn away from the camera in order to feel safe with the camera even being there. And I can then adjust my feelings towards the camera enough to feel safer and safer towards it until the triggers that make me feel unsafe are neutralized. And NLP phrases the next part really complicated. I believe I've simplified it quite a lot. Like the solution in the book Heart of the Mind, it doesn't really cover the full explanation of this. It's probably going to be useful to enable you to feel how genuinely good you can feel about something. Although I think my biggest uncertainty about it is specifically what it can do. Apart from, like it said, to cut out acute fears, like a bee sting phobia. Although not the gradual ones, although the book does go through how to batch, basically have your system leave lessons from dark experiences in the past, leave the good ones in the present, although it didn't work. I don't think it worked very well on me at all. Like, all this video is basically just theorizing. The only reason why I've continued with this is because I do notice a very big difference in imagining watching myself on a screen, basically right now, which I hate, and doing the exact same thing, but with me doing a parkour move, and that's when I feel like, I am an amazing person and I feel awesome in myself. So, in order to understand this next part, you want to understand levels. So the next part basically relies on four things. And I'm gonna attempt to make this not sound like mental rocket science and mental gibberish, because I've pragmatized all of this, cut out the jargon in my head, and I'm giving it to you, because I hate jargon language barriers. So first, congruency. How good can... The simple way of saying this is, if you go into a very high state of confidence with Amy Cuddy's confidence power pose, Superwoman, Superman power pose, can you confidently say to yourself, I can do a side flip right now in a blindfold? For me, that's piss easy, so I absolutely can say that full on, absolutely no issues. And I can say I am awesome in that blindfold doing a side flip. However, can I say that for loving my mother? It's a bit more iffy. If you can say something fully congruently in the confidence power pose, you're genuinely confident about it. If you can't, then that's where you're using your rationalization to build up momentum in how confident you can feel about the thing, in order to come up with reasons for why you can feel confident about the thing. And when you come off an insecurity high, it might be sad in the first place to just keep trying to hype yourself up, although I'm actually putting it in quite such a pragmatic context that if my theory works, then it actually could be extremely useful. One of the points of this theory is so that you can expose the aspects of your emotional experience to parkour moves that automatically put you in a state of peak performance so that you can systematically access that state whenever you want at will. And so, even if you've just been knocked out by a truck, you can basically get back up and do the dream move you want, assuming everything's functioning well. And of course, I'm exaggerating now. In getting hit by a truck. If you just got a horrible night's sleep, you wake up and you need to perform a dream trick. This thing, like, what would you like to do if you could put yourself in a peak state of performance, the most peak you can be, by accessing what's in your system, built into your system, is always there, always has been, and you can just quite quickly hype yourself up into that state of peak performance where cogs just seem to click, and you have a far higher chance of excellently performing that dream trick, like I did. And that is also going to be a state where everything is congruent. So, you might want to check at first whether or not you feel fully confident in performing the trick in the first place using this. Like, I'm just going through these theories in order to mentally cope with my current